What's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike. I have a question for my subscribers, and that is, who do you think will ultimately be selected as the 2017-18 NBA's most valuable player? My personal opinion, I mean, this is just a long-term guesstimate. This isn't something etched in stone. I'm just saying. Just a educated guess, I suppose. I think it's going to come down to, barring injury, of course, serious injury. I think it's going to come down to two prime candidates. I think if I had to choose one guy that I think might be the favorite, might be LeBron James. He hasn't won that award in quite some time, number one. All the way back to his days with the Miami Heat. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but it might have been like, when was the last time he did win it? 2013? Maybe? I think it was 2012, 2013. I'm not sure. But it's been a while. And I think without Kyrie Irving there, he may feel a need to show that even without an Irving there, he's still the man. There's always these questions about, him getting older and, whether he's still the same player that he was in Miami or in his prime, or, whether, Father Time is catching up with him, whether he's still the top guy in the NBA. Has Kevin Durant overtaken you? These are some of the things I see with LeBron James, and I think he may need to, in all honesty, without the caliber of player Irving there. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually think the overall team is better, but I'm not sold on the health of Isaiah Thomas, and I'm not sold on the health of Derrick Rose. When you have a declining player like a Dwayne Wade, okay, when you have a guy who's declining like he is, you always wonder about their health and their production level. So all of these things that we're calculating or we're estimating them to do on the court, these things can change drastically. Many people thought that the 86 Celtics, for instance, were going to be a team that could possibly three-peat, or at least repeat. Okay? What happened in 87? McHale suffered that devastating foot injury toward the end of the season. Bill Walton fell apart as a player. I think he played maybe like 10 games or something, and he was pretty much done as a player. Retired a year or so after that. And of course, Len Bias dies just days after being drafted number 1 by the Boston Celtics. And then Bird slowly after that began to have his injuries. And anyway, to get the point. So I had to put LeBron James out there as a guy who we have to look at as far as being a lead candidate for MVP. Another guy who's not pictured here that I think deserves some mentioning is, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, it took me a while to get that damn name down too, man. I was struggling last year with his name. But Antetokounmpo is a very unique player. And you hope now that with a Jabari Parker finally healthy with that team, you would hope that the Milwaukee Bucks, who show that they're one of the premier defensive teams in the NBA, they may struggle a little bit on offense at times, but they looked really good to me last year in the playoffs. And they're a young team, but you know, I remember so many different teams I've seen that were young that are almost always inevitably broken up by management because they. I don't have to call out management for something too, and I don't think analysts will never say it's because they don't want to get fired. Analysts, you know, like I said, they're good at talking about things within the game, but they don't want to go deeper outside of that because they don't want to get in trouble. That's why Emmitt Smith was fired by NFL Network for being an analyst about 10 years ago or so, because he was too honest and too real. You know, I give a shout out to Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith was for the NFL Network to an extent what Shannon Sharpe is for Undisputed. But anyway, management in sports often act like plantation owners. And if you think I'm being facetious or foolhardy or stupid, just plain stupid for saying that, hear me out. How many times have we seen a team, okay, players who you could see that this team is going to go somewhere. They're really going to, they can just stay together for a couple of years and grow together and mature together and learn the intricacies of the NBA and learn how to improve their skills and play better as a team. And then you have the natural degradation of other players and their skills. You can see this team being a force, right? Only to see management ultimately throw these guys away via trades or what have you, all because they look at these players as valuable entities for them to trade to get a quick buck off of, to the detriment of the fan. I've seen it so many different times. You know, you'll have a valuable shooting guard, a valuable point guard, and a great center, and the team will trade that point guard because they think they can get a profit off of that via trade. Or I'll trade him for a draft pick and some other marginal guys, but I can save myself some money instead of paying this guy that. Then they do it with another guy, and then ultimately the team falls from being a potential 58-win type team to becoming a team that can, you know, barely make the playoffs. Well, they're still profitable. You know, fans will still come, but we're not going to be a championship team, but, you know, we're going to make more money, the organization. That's something that doesn't get called out enough by, in my opinion, sports analysts. And people want to talk about how players are greedy. These fucking owners are the epitome of greed. And that's where I think the lion's share of hatred and ridicule and animus needs to be thrown at. Those guys in those suits, or really those wolves in suit clothing instead of the players. You know, are some of the players greedy? Yeah, they are. Of course. Should they be making $250 million and $300 million or what have you? Hey, what have you. But if they're making that much money, how much do you think these owners are making? Or is it that you don't care because you think that they're entitled to that because they're rich white business owners? And these black players, they don't deserve that much because you don't make that much. But that's a whole nother issue I'm getting into, but you can get off my soapbox. But yeah, watch out for Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, you got Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is a guy who is a perennial MVP candidate. There are many who feel that he's the best two-way player in the NBA. Now he's already dealing with an injury. I think I read it was a thigh injury or something that's going to keep him out at the beginning of the season. And one thing that I'm concerned about with the San Antonio Spurs is I think that finally, after what has been now 20 years of dominance in the NBA, perennial 50-win team, a perennial playoff team, 5 NBA championships during that span of the Tim Duncan era. But that might be coming to an end. I mean, the reason why I say is because those guys that have been part of that franchise for so long, I mean, San Antonio has drafted so well, and they show that you don't have to just pick apart other teams, pick at the bones of other teams, so to speak, just to stay relevant. You know, Greg Popovich just proved to me that he's a top 5 or at least a top 10 all-time coach. That might be a little bit hyperbole because there's been some great coaches in the past. You know, Auerbach, Red Holtzman, Jack Ramsey, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Don Nelson. There's been a lot of great all-time NBA coaches. So I can't just automatically just throw him to top 5 or top 10. But I know he's one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen. But you have to wonder about that nucleus, okay? The nucleus of Ginobili and Parker. Parker's already looking like his days as a starter coming to an end. Ginobili is past 40 years of age. You have to wonder how good this team's going to be, and you have to wonder just how much of a load Kawhi Leonard's going to have to take for this team to stay relevant and to stay one of the better teams. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. Curry deferred to Durant a lot last year. Some people talked about how Curry's numbers were down, which showed the stupidity of the average American sports fan. If you add a player of Kevin Durant's caliber to a team like that, why on earth would you expect Curry to still average 30 points a game? Makes no sense. Of course his numbers are going to drop. But this year, Curry has been, I guess, motivated by that talk, and he has looked pretty good and if not just downright sensational in some of these preseason games. But I don't think anybody from the Warriors are going to win MVPs just because of the fact that you have too much basketball sharing. I mean, you have Curry, you have Durant, you have Klay Thompson, you have to a lesser extent, considerable lesser extent, Draymond Green. I just don't see how any of those guys are going to stand out enough to win it. In my opinion, they might even have to break their all-time record of wins just to stand out that much. I mean, they're going to have to, I don't know. They're going to have an individual season that's just outright ridiculous, in my opinion. James Harden, I don't really see him winning it. Last year in that role as point guard, he was sensational. They won, 55 games? The Rockets? 55, 56? Can't remember. But they won a lot of games last year. I think they're going to struggle a little bit starting off the gate. The Rockets and with that experiment they're going to have this year with James Harden and Chris Paul. First night of the regular season, I think they play against the Golden State Warriors. That's going to be a very fun matchup. I think the Warriors are going to win that game, but we never know. I just don't know how this thing's going to start off with them. But we'll see. Westbrook Westbrook is going to have a season that, by most people's standards, is going to be a letdown from last year. Statistically, outside of shooting percentages, I think his numbers are going to be down across the board. He's not going to average as many points. He's not going to average as many rebounds. I don't think he's going to average as many assists. I don't think. But we'll see. Maybe. But we'll see. It depends on how they do things. Well, he might actually average more assists. Now that I think about it, he might actually average more assists. But I think for the most part, a lot of his numbers are going to be down. I think his steals are going to be up, though. I think his steals are going to be up. I think he might average something like 20. If I had to take a guess, he might average something like 23 points, 24 points, maybe 7.5 rebounds. He might lead the NBA in assists. Now I'm thinking about it a little bit more. I think his assists are actually going to be higher because you got to think about it. If he averaged 10 assists last year with that club, how on earth can he not lead the NBA in assists with this team? Okay, much more firepower. He probably going to lead the NBA in assists. He's probably going to average close to 12 assists per game. And I think he's going to be amongst the league leaders, if not lead the NBA in steals this year. 2.5, maybe at some stretches averaging close to 3 steals a game. I'm going to tell you why. This year, I think that on defense, Russell Westbrook can afford to roam more on defense. He's not going to have to save himself for offense like he did last year. Those days are done. All that extra workload, done. Now he can focus more on defense. And I see him being, with the cat-like quickness that he has, he is a prime candidate for what you would call passing lane or interception steals. I think he's going to excel at that this upcoming season. Strip steals, that's not really him, but he's the type of guy that will get a lot of interception, deflection type passing lane steals, a la Allen Iverson. And, Allen Iverson was never a great one-on-one defender, but he led the league in steals 3 times. That's what I see for Russell Westbrook this upcoming season. But that's going to be fun. This is going to be a very interesting season. I think it's going to be a very impactful season in the history of the league, actually. So tell me in your comments what you guys think about the video, and tell me who you think is going to win the MVP. I'm going to start saying this too. Press the like button if you like this video, and also friend me on Facebook. I will have that in the description, and also follow me on Twitter at Come Fly with Mike. And probably going to create an Instagram page too. The NBA season is starting, and I want to expand this channel as much as possible. You know what I mean? Love talking about basketball. Love talking about various things with you guys, and hope this is going to be the best NBA season yet to come. And I hope that this channel really takes off. Peace out.